All right, so I came up with this really cool idea to add a planter box at the end of our deck. Now the planter box is going to be 12 feet wide by about 18 inches in width and about 18 inches in depth. So it should be plenty big enough to handle whatever we want to put into it. And I'm going to be using these posts that I'm going to drive into the ground, or these post holders that I'm going to drive into the ground. I figured that would be better than the concrete blocks that I used to set the deck on because, well, yeah, they settled and that didn't work out so well. So that's what I'm working on. I think today my goal is to get these posts or these post supports driven into the ground. And then I need to essentially dry fit everything before I go through, and I actually want to shishigi bomb these so that I don't have to use any stains or anything like that, and it'll be essentially weather resistant. That's my goal anyways. All right, so let me get started with driving these in the ground. And one of the things that I did was I got a 4x4 post, cut down a piece of it so that I can slam these into the ground with a pretty decent sized sledgehammer. I'm going to make sure this is level and then start driving this in. Guess I need 2 of these magnetic levels, don't I? Also, I did all the layout work the other day because, well, I didn't want to waste time trying to figure that out on camera. All right, I need to put in ear protection, obviously. All right, ear protection in. So my kind of goal here is once I get these driven in, I'll set the height of the planter box on top of 6 4x4 posts. That should give it more than enough adequate support for what we're going to be doing with it. And then I have kind of a additional piece that I'm doing at one end of the planter box, and I'll get into more detail on that, but let me get this driven in first. All right, time for the big one. Now it's level on the back. Oh. I think I want to leave just a little bit of gap between the bottom of the post, and the top, so water can win under and not soak into the board. And that's what I've done with that one. Holy cow. Yeah. This is my punishment for not going to the gym. Great. Ow. Yeah, this isn't going at all like I wanted it. Started twisting and it's not staying level. Come on. All right. Or not level, but the way that I need it to. Oh my goodness, really? All right. If I need to, I can fix it with oh. That's certainly not where we want it. Huh. All right. Whew. I'm inclined to pull that one back up and move it over a little bit more this way, try to get it straight. Because that's definitely not where I wanted it. The thing is, there isn't going to be much weight on that end for what I'm looking at doing, so I can do that. Alright, let's get the crowbar. See if I can't pry this up and out of here. You know, things don't always go as planned. Or as measured. I think if I go right there, it'll be good. Whew. You need to go back a little bit. Well, that's looking better. Now we're sitting like this. Nope. There. That puts me way past where my mark is. That's better. Yeah, that's looking good. All right. All right. Much better than before. Oh. Okay, those are good. All right, so one of the things I need to do is lay the 2 by 12 by 12 on here and actually figure out my placement to see where the other posts go. But I was going to talk a little bit about one of the changes that I'm making. So originally I was going to leave about a 1-inch part for this so that I could mount this into the side of the 2 by 12. And so I was going to cut this down the depth of the board. But now thinking about how these posts are going in, and they're not going to be exactly perfect. So if I did cut this down and leave that 1-inch kind of hanger piece to connect the board to, I think it's going to end up being more difficult. So I'm just going to set the 2 by 12s on top of the 4 by 4s. That will make it easier for placement. And then what I'll probably do is mount like a 2 by 4 or even a 2 by 3. 2 by 3 would probably work to the back side of this with that elevated kind of lip to add some additional support to the 1 by 10s. And I actually didn't really talk about this. So I have an image that I'll walk through this a little bit better, but essentially what I'm doing is I'm putting a 2 by 12 by 12 down on top of the post, and then either side of the 2 by 12 I'm going to be putting in 2 1 by 10s, 1 by 10 by 12s to make the base, and then along the side will be 2 more 1 by 10s to create the depth, and they'll be stacked on top of each other vertically. So that'll give me plenty of depth for the planter box, and then I'll reinforce the outside of the planter box with what do I have, like 1 by 3s or something like that to add additional support to it. And I'm thinking I may use dowels or something like that to keep the boards from pushing out. I'm trying to stay away from using any type of glue just because we're going to have plants in here and I don't want any potential of being exposed to toxins or anything like that. But on the flip side, I'm also putting in a liner that is food safe, essentially. Sorry, which is essentially plant safe. So I'm probably not too concerned about exposure with this because of that barrier, but yeah, not 100% sure at this point. Let me go ahead and set this massive, heavy, crazy 12 by 12 on this to get my kind of placement for the other 2 posts. And then I have a third one that I'm going to drive in the middle to provide that support in the middle so it's not all, I'm not running I totally put my glove on wrong. How do I, that's, that's too funny. Anyways, that's too funny. All right. Let's see if we can get this on there. Oh, this thing is just like, I don't know. It's like lifting a 2 by 12. Ouch. Can I support that a little bit? So that's kind of how that's going to look. Make sure. I want this thing to fall on my toes. Because that would hurt. and it would suck. Actually, I need to pull this in a little bit more. There we go. And then kind of to see what this really looks like, I'll take one of these shorter pieces of board and lay it on here. It'll be like that. And then so we'll have two of these laying together to form the bottom. And then there'll be two of these stacked on top of each other to form the outside of it. And then that gap there, well, actually the gap between the deck and the planter box, I'm going to do something with. I need to mark these. Yes, one way to do this would be to do that. All right. All right. That's should be good for now. Whew. So this will go here. I gotta get another one. And this one will go. Just gotta get the bag off to see right. This one will go right here. Right. Actually, I think do with my tape measure. There it is. Well, that's 11 and a half. Or it's 11. What? Oh, I have a little bit of playroom on that one. Of course, once the boards sit in there. That one's too far out. I think that's it straightened up though. Yeah. How level are we? Hey, I'm missing a screw. Bolt. How did that happen? Ugh. Why did I pick up the tape measure? I think that doesn't look right as it looks. No. Well, matter really. Um, oops. No way. Whoop. Yeah, so much for all of that. Being attacked by a mosquito. All right, time for the big wallops. Working on this and the batteries died. Let's get the big one out and start ramming this in. Whew. Oh. I think my pounding board broke. I needed a level. Get this. See if this is level. That's close enough. Went a little bit too deep, but if I pull it up, I'll have other problems. All right. Whoa. That should probably move out of the way before I bust my hand on it. All right. I think we're good. Yeah, I think my board's broken. That's pretty good. Whew. So then this is just gonna go up on here like that. So one of the reasons for doing this is we got a fire pit and it has a propane tank, but the thing for putting it in I don't like. So I wanted to build a little storage cupboard for the propane tank to go into this, and it'll be plenty big enough. But originally I was going to put it down at this end, kind of down like that, and then have this all be box. But that's my hose, and it'll reach over there. But if I actually move this more like this, put it more towards the middle, kind of like that, then I have a little bit of planter over here, and then all of this would be planter, and then I just have my little box in here, and there'll be a cover on it so that it's contained, and I'll have a lid on it rather than this gray kind of end table type thing, and then I can use that for something else. I feel like that's a better solution. A little bit of planter box, big planter box, a place for that. I'm not giving up any space really, maybe a little bit, but it'll make it more convenient to get to than trying to go around that post to turn it on. The big thing is to be able to pull a cover off and be able to turn this on rather than having to pick that up and set it someplace, because it's not convenient to lift that up and then try to set it down. I mean, there's a little notch there for letting the hose come out, and it's just not really convenient. So my thought is, by taking and moving this hose and running it into the planter box and then having planter box either side, then I can just have that lid that comes up and turn that on real easy, and it'll make it way more convenient to use. So I feel like that's the better solution. So the only thing that I have left to do here is to get these center posts in position. I'm thinking halfway right now is probably right here. So let me get a couple stakes driven in as reference for these two middle boards. And then I can get those driven in through my stakes all the way away. Yeah, changing this out so that I'm not cutting those down. I think that was the right call. Totally the right call. Otherwise, it would have to have been like perfect on all of this. And that would have meant like taking into account the whole board and all that kind of stuff. And it would have been, let's put it this way. If I'd gone that route, I just would have been setting myself up for a whole round of disappointment. Definitely don't want to do that. All right, one board in. Travel a half a mile to get the other board. It's funny, I went to all this work to do all this stringing stuff up, and here I am not like using any of it. Look at that. All right, I need to pull this board off. And I need to go grab. Do you feel like this is going to work out better than using these little concrete pad things? I really need to kind of rethink this, don't I? I totally need to rethink this. I don't want to be driving that in and then trying to drive this side in. Well, this needs to go on the inside. I don't want these things showing. I tell my doctor that the extra weight that I put on over the last year or so has come in handy for being able to push boards down into down into the ground. Come on. By the way, if you ever see a tool in one of these videos that I'm using, not sponsored by that company, so don't be like, oh, he's using whatever and he must be sponsored by them. I'm not. Wouldn't say that wouldn't be cool, but it's not the case. All right, well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to set this one too, because I don't want to be driving that one in and have this. That's just waiting to bust something pretty bad. having dealt with a broken finger once already, I never want to repeat that experience again. It sucks. Of course, you're all going to be like, dude, you're putting in this thing and it's not any safer, right? Well, I can drive both of these in at the same time. Maybe. So, I don't think it'll matter as far as that goes. Look at that. You know, the one thing I need to check before I get too far with this. Hello. That's stuck in there. Alright, well, do it this way. Yeah, that's too far apart. It's way too far apart. Am I completely out of alignment here? I think I'm too far out of where I need to be. That's good that way. Alright. So this is supposed to be like about 11 inches apart. Yeah. Visually I can see that we're not where we're supposed to be. I want this to be like that. That's not sure I'm not being hunted by a falcon here. And that's better. All right. There's a bulge over there. That's fine. Oh, that's not good. All right. All right. Give this couple whack-a-moos. All right. Ugh. Oh, good that way. Not good that way. Ever watch other content creators or even people on reality TV shows using tools and stuff? And you're like, oh crap, they're going to cut off a finger or something? It's kind of the way I feel sometimes. Alright, that's good that way. It's not good that way. Alright. See if I can't get this driven down. Woohoo. Okay, well, that presents a problem. Alright. I'm going to draw then when I still have light. Unfortunately, my other camera died, so let's see how this works. So one thing I did do is I nailed on a board on top because that was all smashed, and I didn't figure that it was gonna work anymore for doing this. So here goes nothing. Oh, that didn't work at all. Oh. Whew, all right, set this up here so we don't kill it. That would suck. All right. Let's see how this goes. Hello. I thought it would work. Whoops. All right. How bad did I do? Well, I did pretty bad. I did really bad. You know what? I'm not going to worry about it. The amount of work to pull those back out and drive them back in the ground, it just isn't worth it. And it'll make it work. That's as much as I would love it to be more accurate and dead on. Sometimes those things don't happen the way you want them to, so it is what it is. And I'd have to cut another hunk off my 4x4 in order to drive that in. That's just not going to happen either because I need as much as that board as I can get. So, if nothing else, I can maybe get a 2x6 to put under there to add some additional support, and then I just cut those center posts a little shorter to accommodate the 2x6. I don't need a very big piece. I mean, a foot or something by a foot. And And the bulk of the weight is being taken by those two supports anyways, so I think in the end we'll be okay. If not, you know what? We can just tear it all out and rebuild it, learning from all the lessons I'll take away from this effort, because I've never done this before. Cool. All right, so that's a wrap for today's effort. Tomorrow, I don't know what I'm doing for this tomorrow. We'll see. It'll be a surprise for you and me. All right. All right, so it looks like the last part of this build that I'm going to be able to complete for now is cutting the post to the right height, and that's probably about it. The shiggy bomb that I want to do is going to have to wait. So that's kind of a disappointment, but you know, you got to roll with what you got to roll with. So I need to get these stakes re-leveled up and get another stake put in for the center section so that I can get the right height for the boards. And I think the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go ahead and place the 4x4 into the post holder, identify where I'm making the cut at, make the cut, and then go and do the next one. That way I'm hopefully staying pretty accurate to what the cuts need to be, as opposed to trying to measure things and then have it all come up wrong. So that's kind of where I'm at this point. I need to get these lines re-leveled, and I need to redo this line because that string is completely wrong now, and then I need to do this one here. So let me get started with that, and hopefully we can get this adjusted pretty easily. So yeah, okay, this is just not cool. So that's showing way unlevel. And if I turn it around, it's, yeah. Well, this isn't going to work. That means I'm going to have to come up with a different plan here. And it means I'm going to have to spend some money. Dang it. All right, well, this isn't getting done today. It's just simply not getting done today because I'm going to have to get a solution for taking care of trying to get this leveled up. And no matter what I do as far as that goes, it's not going to be here today. Tomorrow it's supposed to rain, so I guess we're done. I guess a short, unsuccessful week at this point for what I was trying to accomplish. At least I got the post in the ground. And that was the part that I was the most worried about getting taken care of. But yeah, this is this is so not how I wanted this to go. I was hoping to at least get these posts cut, and I was hoping to be able to get the shishigi bomb completed, but that's not happening either. So really, guess I'm putting everything up, doing a search, finding a solution, and then coming back to address this at a later date. That sucks. But hey, that's how it rolls, you know? That's how it rolls. That's why we're trying to figure these things out. So I have another project that I need to work on. I will, I guess, focus on that for next week. All right. We'll see you next week.